pull and push. And we can pull horizontally, we can pull vertically, we can push and push. Now, so the pull, okay, we're gonna be picking something up off the ground. So what I want you to do is for support, we're gonna step with the left foot forward. We're gonna place the left hand on the knee. If you feel better here, you can go down to the forearm for support. Now what I'm doing is I'm giving my trunk support so that I can reach down and grab that kettlebell, and then you move your back foot wherever you want it to go. You take a breath in, you brace, and then you exhale, and you pull it right up off the floor. And in that motion, it might be a little heavy, right? I want you to be able to lift that weight up without having to rotate, without rounding the back. You got to be able to stick those hips out like we talked about. Stick those hips out into the hinge. There you go, very good. When you pull, you don't want to shrug your traps and shoulders. So let's pause for a second. When the weight is appropriate and you go to pick it up, what's the first thing that you feel? You feel IAP. Because if the weight is light, you don't have to be tight. But if the weight is appropriate, you go to pick it up, right away your body goes, hey, we got to stabilize and get ready. Everybody wake up. We got things to do, right? So you grab that weight, you get locked in, breathe in, you brace, pull it all the way up, big pull, drive the elbow past the ribs. Good. And the rest of the body has to stabilize. Nice job. Okay? The next thing that I want you to think about here is depending on your ability to hinge. If I can't hinge really well, how do I compensate? Around. And what does a row look like here? Not very good, right? So I've got to be able to do with my hips what we've been talking about. And you start to see how all of the other patterns play a part here, right? We've already gone through the lunge. So I've got to be able to do this to reach down and pick up something out of the garden. Making sense? They all feed off of each other. Switch hands, switch feet. Find that hinge, reach down with the left hand. Get yourself adjusted. You can create some additional support by putting the hand or the forearm down. You take that breath in, big brace, big pull, and I want 5 reps. Exhale, pull. Okay, our last one is going to be a push, and the first thing that we're going to start with is we're going to go back down to the floor. And from the floor, okay, you're going to grab your kettlebell here. Once you get down to the ground, and just roll straight over. So you got that single kettlebell, you're going to go down to your light one. Inhale, bring it down to the body. Exhale, press it back up to the ceiling. So grab that lightweight. Don't use the heavy one. Yep, yeah, you're good. Perfect, right there. Get that kettlebell up right above the body. Go ahead and press it up and stabilize it. Yep, good. Yeah, I know, mine is always in the way. So when you start, roll over into that fetal position, and you grab it with one hand, and you're in the fetal position, knees are set, you grab it with 2 hands, take that breath in, and you just roll it right over into the pocket. Exhale, press that hand straight up over your body into the ceiling. Okay, now hold it right here. First check, remember when we were in quadruped, hands and knees getting ready to bear crawl, we pulled our shoulders down away from our ears, we tucked our hips down, our belly got tight, right? We take a breath in with tension, and as we breathe in with tension, we lower the elbow down to the floor. And then we exhale, we press it right back up. You should feel your pec and your shoulder pressing you all the way through that motion. What do you got there, 25? Good, lower it down. I want 3 reps on one side. Inhale, lower it down, keep that elbow close to the body. Exhale, press it back up to the sky. Kettlebell on the outside of your hand. There you go, nice strong wrist, and you punch through the knuckles up to the sky. Good. Perfect. Yeah, it might feel better using dumbbells sometime, right? Yeah, you can grab one. Go for it. Okay. When you are done, I want you to sit up for a moment and let's just chat real quick. Okay? What's that feel like? It's challenging, right? It's challenging. What's that, dear? Yes, if you can, do both sides so you're balanced, okay? Good. Do both sides so you're balanced. How'd you feel? Feels good. Yeah. You start going on your left hand, and you're like, wait a minute, this is heavy. Did I grab the right kettlebell on my right? It shouldn't be that heavy. Good. Okay, so let's talk about this for just a second. What does that feel like to you? Does it feel good? Does it feel stable? Does it feel like everything is working? What feels off or out of alignment? What's something that you're aware of in doing it this way? Anything?
Sometimes, like if I'm struggling, I'll feel like I'll go like that.
You got it, yeah.
Kind of bring my shoulder up.
So what you just indicated is one of the most important pieces, right? These muscles right through here is your lats, latissimus dorsi, okay? These muscles are the legs for your upper body. If I'm strong through my lats, I'm good with posture, I'm good with breathing, I'm not overusing my traps. I can press really well because I've got great stability on the floor. If I'm starting to feel myself fatigue, shoulder starts to float up, I'm overloading the anterior delt, I'm not even really getting into the pec, and I'm starting to feel like this guy, right? Because I'm not able to create stability by pulling this boy down into position and getting it long through the ears and the neck. So that's an important piece. So that means that the pulling aspect of training for most people, if we were looking at a ratio, I would be telling you to pull twice as many reps every training session in a week than you are pushing. Because we live life like this. Oh, okay, yeah, I got it. Hey, let me push that door open here, right? But very few times are we actually doing this, or are we doing this, right? So if I'm going to pull as an exercise with 12 reps, I'm probably gonna do 6 to 8 reps on a press, because I need to make sure that that backside is nice and strong for posture, for support, for stability. Okay, does that make sense? Any questions about that? That's great, that's a good feedback. One thing that I always want to make sure that we cover when we're talking about pressing, and this is going to be unanimous whether we are horizontal or vertically pressing, is what I call the power position. I want everybody to take their arms out like this to a T and hold them up. And what do you feel right here? Can you squeeze your pecs? Is it easy? It's not really easy, is it? When my arms are out here and I'm pressing, this is pretty much all shoulder. What I want you to do is I want you to bring your arms down, even at a 45. Now, is it easier to flex your pecs? This is the power position, because when we talk about this GH, this glenohumeral joint right here, in terms of shear, all of us are a little bit different in terms of our anatomy and how that moves through there. But when we're trying to recruit for strength, I want to be somewhere between here and here. And I want to find that spot where my body is naturally going to feel good. And now, when I am pressing, I've got these muscles working in conjunction with these muscles. I always see people doing push-ups like this. All you're doing is frying your shoulders. You're frying your anterior delt. You're not getting into the pecs. So I will tell you, get your chest down between your thumbs, and you will naturally see in that motion the most powerful bench pressers in the world. They bench press like this. Elbows come down into the pocket so they can use their lats and they can move through. So of all the things, that's the one thing that they do well, right? But I want you to understand, knowing where you should be in space is important, because now that's the exact same whether I'm here or here. If I'm all the way out here, this might be okay if we're trying to train it at a light load, but we start getting into heavy motions and heavy movements, this can create all sorts of problems and kinks. So I want to start creating that same concept. I want to bring it in and find the most comfortable position here, release some of that pressure, and now I want to press at a 45-degree angle. Here versus here. Inside versus all the way to the outside. Okay? Making sense? Find that power position so that you're working with the path of least resistance so that we can get the greatest bang for our buck every time we pick up a weight. All of these are in order of what I would say are the ways that you should consider them and see them in your training program, based on value and importance to how they positively impact your overall health and your overall performance. You should always be thinking about breathing. from the warm-up to how you set yourself up for training to what you're doing in the middle of the training. You should always, every single time, be thinking about how am I setting myself up for this lift? How am I breathing? How am I bracing myself for this? Okay, we don't always have to crawl, but the crawl is significant to that coordination, getting things to move together, whether I want them to or I want to resist them from doing that. Lunging, okay, how am I creating that symmetry? I should always have some variation of movement that's unbalanced in my strength training program, always thinking about that. We can alternate between lunging and squatting. Some variation of hinging is always in the mix, whether I'm doing RDLs, right? I'm reaching down here, holding this position and doing rows with the cable, a variety of things. But you should be thinking about these things in terms of their importance as you move through. And you want to make sure that a good program has all of them in there across the week.